They had a heck of a crowd, Richard.
It was. The place was full. And that deadgum 14 got him a running start.
He just cut across the corner and made it work.
And that won the race for him there. The last three winners, not really been that competitive all year long. But when it came down to the last three races, they wound up winning the race and getting in. So it's kind of an odd deal. If you look at the four teams that's in the playoffs, maybe three of them that really deserve to be there. There's a couple of them that kind of lucked in, so I don't think they'll go very far.
Okay, so you was in Darlington.
Yeah,
was it hot?
Up on top of the truck. Had a little bit of a breeze, so it wasn't that bad.
Well, I stayed at home, watched it on my favorite chair in the cool, but they had a heck of a crowd, Richard.
It was. The place was full.
Yeah,
and it was good. And they got to see a pretty decent race. Really.
It wasn't a bad race.
The first couple of deals, they got in line, they run. Some of them guys in the back was racing pretty hard. The longer the race got, the more interesting it got.
Yeah.
Because of the way they had to make pit stops and that scattered things around. Instead of everybody stopping at the same time, they run the deals far enough that they had to make a pit stop. And so that broke things up pretty good, too.
Me sitting at home, it really surprised me because I wasn't watching the times, but it really surprised me that I believe the 6 car was the first car to come in and get tires at about 35 laps. And 35 laps into 367, that ain't many.
It's a long way to go.
So they had a bunch of tires, I'm sure, but tires, probably that's... This race, probably the tires meant more than any race we've seen lately.
Yeah, they was wearing out pretty good.
But it's given up.
But it was like,
speed,
when the race first started, I think 23 led some. But when the 5 car would get out there with brand new tires after a pit stop, and everybody had brand new tires, he just run off and left everybody. So he was really good for about 20 laps. And then he'd get down to running like everybody else. And then all of a sudden, everybody behind him, well, not everybody, the ones that was chasing him were running quicker. They started catching him. But they never ran far enough for the cars, the 14 or any of them, to really catch up.
Yeah, because they had to pit for tires,
right.
Or there's a stage or something.
14 was, he could really charge for about 10 or 12 laps, and then the 5 would overcome him. Yeah.
I thought the 14 was an awful good car all night
long.
All night.
He was right up in there.
I thought the car was really good, and there at the end, he had to use the car and his driving skills too to win.
The move that he made when I think they had one of the pit cautions and stuff, and he was like 4th, and somebody stayed out. I think the 1 car stayed out.
I believe he did.
And then you had the 5 car, and maybe the 11. I don't know. Anyhow, they got side by side, and that deadgum 14 got him a running start.
He just cut across the corner and made it work.
And that won the race for him right there.
It's sure.
Yeah.
Those cars, they're just tough on everything about the body and everything.
Well,
Richard,
they can bounce off the wall. But, listening to the 8 car, he said he run and could get so close, and then his car with arrows and stuff wouldn't let him get any closer, especially when his tires were the same. If he still, he used his tires up, I guess, to catch him.
He used his tires up getting to him.
And he caught him, but the deal was he couldn't do anything about it because the arrow on these cars is so bad that you get within, 50 yards of somebody, car just goes all to pieces.
It was unusual to see the 19 car make a mistake that early.
Second lap.
And he was passing the 24, and to keep from hitting him, he just had to cut it hard, and the car just done something he couldn't overcome.
It was 12 car.
He stayed off the 24 car and collected the 12 car.
Okay. He knocked the pee out of the 12 car.
Yeah, he hit him. No, it took them both out, and he had to sweat getting in the.
Yes, he was lucky.
Yeah,
lucky he had enough points that nobody was able to catch up except the 14 naturally got in front of him because he won.
Well,
and it's kind of an odd deal if you look back the last 3 winners not really been that competitive all year long. You know what I mean? But when it came down to the last 3 races, they wound up winning a race and getting in. You know what I mean? So it's kind of an odd deal.
It was, and of course they didn't have to go into overtime this time, so that
for
was
a
different.
change. Yeah,
but I still don't like kind of the 6 teams that's running for the championship. Some of them still got advantage with points. Right? They've collected over the year. I wished all of them had 0. Maybe I'm wrong, but I wish
they need to do like all the other major sports. If you make it to the playoffs, everybody starts even. But then that would kind of kill what the people had accomplished during the season. Where the 54 wound up beating the 5 car by 1 point for the regular championship. But the 5 car driver missed a race. Okay,
That's right, yeah.
So he was 1 race behind. But he's still leading the points because he's got 40 extra points. He's a race ahead of everybody when the championship starts off, and that's not the way I think it ought to be.
Yeah, but they'll still have 10 races to go, and there'll be a winner at the end of it for a championship. And but there's some awful good cars, Richard. I'll name 2 or 3 of them that's not in the championship run. I'm gonna pull for them to win a race, or maybe 2 in this 10 race.
There's 2 or 3 cars back there that's very capable of winning races. They just not got there yet.
Yeah, I'd like to. Of course, me and you'll be pulling for the 42 and the 43 as usual. But the way things have been going, it's no disrespect for the last 2, but they've been unexpected too. So maybe I don't know what we can look for at, especially Atlanta and Talladega for sure.
Yeah, well, we got the next 3 races is really an odd deal. You got a super speedway, you got a road course, and you got a short track. So, I don't know of anybody that's really that good on all 3 situations. So this is going to eliminate some of the people from that standpoint, because a couple of them guys is really good on road courses. Couple of them's good on super speedways. A couple of them's pretty dang good short track. So it's going to be interesting.
We're going to Atlanta and Talladega in the playoffs.
But we got to get the first 3 first.
Okay, yeah, okay. But Atlanta, it's Ford just had a lot of speed on the super speedways.
They seem to,
And I'm assuming it'll still be that way. And then
if you look at the Ford teams that's in the playoffs, there's just a couple of them that maybe 3 of them that really deserve to be there. There's a couple of them that kind of lucked in, so I don't think they'll go very far.
I'm not going to call the numbers.
Okay.
But
you don't want to get caught.
But the 34 and the 38, they carry speed on these speedways,
right.
And they'll do it again at Atlanta and Talladega. But it's going to be interesting, and like I'm repeating myself, I hope we got a couple of races won that's not in the championship.
Yeah,
so
it probably will be. I guess if you're in the top 36, I think that's how many cars they got. Then you're capable of winning a race, whether you do it backwards, sideways, upside down. Yeah, I think it should be that way.
Yeah, I agree with Richard. There's 36 charters, and if you win a race, you should be in.
I've probably been just as sick or sicker, but I don't think I've ever thrown up, and I think he did. I felt like it probably, but I've run races where I felt so bad that it kind of helped me get in the car, like to have the flu or something. When the race was over, you felt good because you sweated it all out, and I think that's what happened to him. Once his disturbance, whatever it was, got through, then everything else kicked in, and he's back to normal.
Yeah, he overcome it by getting in a routine and just done it. I don't know how much better he would have been if he hadn't been sick, but we started the race one Sunday in Augusta, 500 laps on a half-mile track, and Richard was pretty sick, and he didn't have the buses back then or nothing. He was laying in the back seat of the car we was traveling in, and we went and got him, stuff him in, and he happened to win the race that day too. But I think we cut a tire down late, and I changed the tires, and whoever handed him a drink or so said, just tell me how many I got to pass. That's all I'm gonna do.
There's two or three that's really got a good chance to win some races. And I think maybe even the 43, if they could ever get rid of all their bad luck, still has a chance to win the race. I guess the 34 car, the 38, the Fords, they've been really strong. Just hadn't been able to win yet, but they got a real good chance of doing it.
I'd already brought this up in the show, but yeah, he brought up the 34 for the speedways, and then whoever be in the 16 for the road courses. They'll have for sure a road course ace, and the 34 he's awful strong on the road courses. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what the non-championship contenders can do. So it's just part of racing right now.